Welcome to day 40 of the Boat and RV 100 series. I am Joe Downs with Storage Moguls, and today I'm opening section 5, the portfolio building section, with the question most operators ask at the wrong time. When do I buy the second facility? Here's the honest framework. Most operators move to facility 2 a little too early. They buy before the first facility is stable, before the operating systems are documented, before they understand what the first facility actually costs to run. The ones who wait for the right signals and move with the right capital stack build portfolios that compound. The ones who move on excitement and momentum alone often find the second facility creating operational drag on the first facility that was just starting to perform. That's the data-driven picture. And StorageMoguls.ai is where we track that, what operators actually experience at this inflection point. We aren't just buying storage units, folks. We're building storage moguls. To us, a mogul is a sophisticated operator who has mastered the full arc from sourcing the deal to running it like a machine. We don't just buy, we acquire and we optimize. And that's the discipline that turns a standard investment into an extra 6 figures of value. We specialize in taking people who have never even considered this asset class before all the way through the process, from zero to owning and operating their first deal. There are no stage gurus here. We're solopreneurs and couples actively closing financeable deals between $400,000 and $2 million. And we're doing the work right now. And we're doing it together at storagemoguls.ai. And you can start for free, move along at your own pace. But let's get into today's episode. So here's your 5 go, no-go criteria you need to consider before buying your second deal. All 5 need to be checked before you move. Missing one is manageable risk. Missing 2 or more is a systematic problem that facility 2 will expose and expose it loudly. What's your stabilized occupancy? 90% or higher for at least 2 full seasonal cycles, not approaching 90%, not projecting 90%, actually operating at 90% or above through both a fall season and the following spring retention window. The operator who buys facility 2 while facility 1 is at 78% occupancy is trying to solve a marketing problem and a capital deployment problem simultaneously. Those problems tend to interact badly. Are your operations documented? The test is whether your facility can run without you for 2 weeks, not whether it could theoretically run without you, whether it actually can right now. Checklists, tenant communication templates, vendor contacts, maintenance schedules, the gate system troubleshooting guide, all written down. If you are the documentation, facility 2 will expose that if you haven't documented. Is your cash flow predictable? 24 months of actual monthly operating data gives you a real seasonal low, a real seasonal high, and a real annual NOI figure. The operator working from projections is underwriting facility 2 on assumptions. The operator working from actuals is underwriting facility 2 on data and experience. Do you have a clear capital stack? You know where the equity for deal 2 is coming from before you start looking? Is it a cash out refi on facility 1, a capital partner, accumulated operating cash flow, or a combination? The capital stack conversation with the lender is much easier when you walk in knowing your source of funds. What does your bandwidth look like? The most commonly underestimated criterion, the first 90 days of facility 2 ownership are as intensive as the first 90 days of facility 1. If your operational bandwidth is fully absorbed by the first facility, you can't give facility 2 the attention it needs during the transition window. The result is churn at the new facility and service degradation at the existing one. And you need to consider these 4 timing signals. These are external and operational indicators, not emotional ones. The desire to scale is not a timing signal. That the data that supports scaling is. So a documented waiting list of 10 or more names is the strongest signal or single timing signal available. It proves market demand beyond your own occupancy. When you walk into a lender with facility 2 in the same geography and you have a waiting list from facility 1 with documented names, vehicle types, and contact information, you're presenting demand evidence that most first-time borrowers can't produce. Is your DSCR at 1.35 times or higher on facility 1? This is not just about facility 1 performing, by the way. It's about the headroom it creates. If your first facility is at 1.35 DSCR, or if it's at that and can absorb a softer first season at facility 2 without your personal financing being squeezed between two underperforming assets, a 1.25x is the lender's minimum. A 1.35x is your personal buffer. Has a specific deal been identified? Abstract readiness, the I think I'm ready, and deal specific readiness, I have a deal under LOI in a market I've surveyed, are different states altogether. The specific deal creates a decision framework. The abstract desire to scale creates a search that can drag for years. Lender relationship with capacity. The lender who approved facility 1 knows the asset class. They've underwritten your seasonal cash flow. They know your operating track record, and they may be willing to expand with the borrower who's performing. That relationship has a compounding value. So don't start facility 2 cold with a new lender if the existing one can serve that deal. The same market versus new market decision is one of the most consequential in portfolio construction. Neither is universally right. The right answer depends on your concentration tolerance, your operational bandwidth, and the deal quality available in each geography. Same market advantages are substantial for your second facility. You already understand the demand drivers. You have an existing lender who knows the area. Your vendor and management relationships transfer, and your waiting list from facility 1 is demand evidence you can actually use in the lender package for your second facility. For most operators, the first 2 facility portfolio is the same or adjacent market for exactly those reasons. Same market concentration risk is the trade-off, though. Both assets are exposed to the same geographic demand factors. A flood event, a major employer departure, or a significant new competing facility affects both assets simultaneously. The risk is real, but typically overstated for the operators building their first portfolio. The same market advantages usually outweigh the concentration risk at the two facility stage. New market diversification makes more sense at facility 3 or 4, when you have enough operational infrastructure to absorb the startup costs of a new market without it creating drag on the existing portfolio. Asking an operator with one stabilized facility to simultaneously learn a new market, build new vendor relationships, and run the transition on facility 2 is asking a lot. Same market first, diversify when you have the bandwidth to do it right. There's 3 capital paths to facility 2. The right one depends on your equity position at facility 1, your appetite for partners, and your timeline. Cash out refi facility 1 is the cleanest path when the equity's there. If your first facility appraised at $1.2 million and you bought it for $800,000 with a $560,000 loan, cash out refi at 70% LTV on the new appraised value produces $840,000 in loan proceeds, enough to pay off the original loan, cover closing costs, and put meaningful equity towards your second facility. The new debt service on the first facility increases, but if the DSCR supports it, you've extracted equity without taking on a partner. Capital partner in a GP-LP structure could be the right path when you have strong deal finding and operating skills but limited equity. A capital partner brings the down payment for the second facility in exchange for a preferred return. You operate both facilities and participate in the equity upside above the preferred return hurdle. The economics need to be modeled carefully, though. The preferred return is a real cost that comes off the top before you participate. Accumulated cash flow is the most conservative path and the slowest. Your first facility operating cash flow saved over 2 or 3 seasons funds the second facility equity injection without a refi or a partner. This path is fully self-funded and adds no leverage to the balance sheet. The trade-off is time. You may be waiting a couple of years for the equity to accumulate, during which market conditions could change. And you can miss opportunities. Here's 5 discipline requirements. None of them are operational at the 2 facility stage, though. Written operating procedures is the test from criteria 2 of the readiness checklist applied specifically. What's in your head about how facility 1 runs, the gate troubleshooting sequence, the vendor call priority list, the at-risk tenant review process? All of it must be written down before you acquire your second facility. The transition period at a new facility takes the same level of attention as the one you went through at the first one. You can't give that attention if you're simultaneously the institutional memory for a facility you've been running for 2 years? Do you have a standardized tenant communications, the welcome letter, the rate increase letter, the late payment notice, the renewal communication? All these should be templated and consistent across both facilities. A tenant who rents from you at one facility and refers a friend to the second should experience the same service standard. Inconsistency is the first sign of a scaling problem. Is your financial reporting by facility? We see this a lot. Do you have separate P&Ls from day one of facility 1 and 2? You need to be able to look at each facility independently. Occupancy, NOI, debt service coverage, operating expenses without blending them. A blended P&L where facility 1's performance is masking facility 2's underperformance, for instance, is one of the most common portfolio management failures at this stage. Do you have vendor relationships that can scale? Your gate system vendor, your surface maintenance contractor, your security monitoring provider. All of these should be vetted for capacity before you close a second facility. A vendor who can manage one facility at your service standard may not be able to manage 2. So find out before you need them. These are the 5 phases for the portfolio building arc for an operator who does it right. Years 1 and 2 are the foundation where you stabilize your first facility completely, not trending towards stable, actually stable. 2 full seasons at 90+% occupancy, documented operations, predictable cash flow, and a waiting list that proves market demand. This phase cannot and should not be rushed. Years 2 and 3 are the preparation phase, where you identify your potential second facility market, run the buy box analysis, begin building lender and dealer relationships in the target geography. The preparation happens before the acquisition, not after the LOI is signed. Year 3 is the acquisition. Facility 2 closes with a clear capital stack, and the 90-day transition plan from day 32 is executed immediately. Separate P&L tracking from day 1, the operational discipline built at facility 1 transfers over directly. Years 4 and 5 are stabilization and documentation phase. Facility 2 reaches the same operating standard as facility 1. 2 facilities generating 24 months of combined operating history create a refi package and or a portfolio narrative that the one facility operator cannot produce. Year 5 and beyond is the equity harvest or the next acquisition. By this point, the portfolio has documented NOI, lender relationship with 2 performing assets, and the operational infrastructure to absorb a third facility on the same timeline. Section 5 is the portfolio building section, and the foundation for all of it is today's episode, knowing when and how to move. You got your 5 readiness criteria: stabilized occupancy, documented operations, predictable cash flow, clear capital stack, and you need the bandwidth. You need all 5 before you act. Missing 2 or more is a systematic problem that facility 2 will expose. Same market first, learning curve compression, the lender relationship, the vendor overlap, and the waiting list demand evidence from facility 1 all argue for the second acquisition in the same or adjacent geography if you can. You should diversify when the portfolio can support it. And then operations first. The documentation requirement is not bureaucracy. It's the infrastructure that makes all the scale possible. What's in your head about how the first facility runs can't stay there if you want facility 2 to reach the same standard. It's got to be documented. All right, next up, day 41, second market evaluation. Applying the buy box to a new geography, how to run the same 5 criteria analysis on a market you haven't operated in yet. Please like this video if the 5 readiness criteria reframed your timeline, either confirming you're ready or clarifying that you still need to build some things to build a facility 1 before you move. Subscribe so you don't miss tomorrow, day 41. The second market evaluation episode builds the research framework you need to validate a new geography before you commit $1 to it. And then share this with an operator who's thinking about their second facility but hasn't built a framework for that decision yet. The readiness criteria and the timing signals give them a concrete checklist to work against. Section 5 is about what you build after the first facility proves the model. The portfolio building tools, the second market analysis framework, the capital partner structures, and the operational scaling playbook are all available at storagemoguls.ai. It's built by us, operators who have navigated this exact inflection point, can tell you what the right decision looked like in their situation. It's free to join. Build a portfolio with people who've done it. Join Storage Muggles. Scale right. Build something durable. We'll see you tomorrow.